she said. "You will never find anyone better than me," when I confronted her about the other guy. I stayed calm and replied, "You are probably right." Then I invited her whole family to see exactly what kind of person she really was. I am Jake Morrison, 27M. Been working as a software engineer for about 5 years since I graduated college. My girlfriend Madison Maddie Thompson, 29F, and I have been together for 7 years. Basically since my senior year when she was already working as a marketing coordinator. We have been talking marriage seriously this past year. Even looked at rings together last month. Maddie's always been the social butterfly type, really close with her family, especially her sister Scarlett. Every month she goes back home to Minnesota to visit her grandparents who have been having health issues. At least that is what she told me. I work remote mostly, so I never minded staying back in Chicago to catch up on projects or hang with my buddy Trevor. Last Saturday, I was planning to surprise her with takeout from her favorite Italian place when she got back from her weekend trip. I was tracking her flight on my phone when I got a weird text from our mutual friend Connor Bradley. He sent me a screenshot of Maddie's Snapchat location with another guy's Bitmoji at her parents' house. The message just said, "Bro, I think you need to see this." I tried calling Maddie immediately, but it went straight to voicemail. When I checked Find My Friends, her location was suddenly turned off. That is when I started getting this sick feeling in my stomach. Connor called me back and said, "Jake, man, I don't know how to tell you this, but everyone back home thinks you guys broke up 4 months ago. Maddie's been telling people she is single." My hands started shaking. 4 months ago was right when we started seriously discussing engagement rings. I couldn't process what he was saying. Connor continued, "There is more. I have seen her around town with this guy Brandon, and they are definitely not just friends. I caught them making out in the parking lot behind Murphy's bar last night." My brain felt like it was short-circuiting. 7 years together, and she has been living a completely different life back home. I asked Connor to send me proof, anything he could find. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing with screenshots. The worst part wasn't even the photos of Maddie and this Brandon guy looking way too cozy at some house party. It was the Tinder profile Connor found. She was using photos I had taken of her during our trip to Italy last year. In one couple photo from our anniversary dinner, she had literally cropped out my face, and the caption read, "Could be you." I sat there staring at my phone for I don't know how long. 7 years of my life. All those conversations about our future. The apartment we had been saving for. The dog we wanted to get. All of it was apparently one-sided. But here is the thing about being a software engineer. I am really good at organizing data and planning systems. And right then, looking at the evidence Connor sent me, I started planning the most comprehensive data migration of my life. Except, instead of moving files, I was going to move Madison right out of the life she had been stealing from me. I had exactly 5 hours before she landed at O'Hare. 5 hours to document everything, secure my assets, and prepare for what was going to be the most important presentation of my career. First, I called my old college roommate Derek, who is now a lawyer. He walked me through protecting myself legally, recording conversations, documenting financial arrangements, making sure I couldn't be accused of theft or property damage. Then I started what Trevor later called Operation Ghost Protocol. I logged out of every streaming service, changed every password, and removed my payment information from all the utilities. The Wi-Fi router I had bought and set up, unplugged it and put it in my car. I methodically packed every single thing I had contributed to our shared life. Kitchen supplies, electronics, even the expensive spices and condiments I had bought. I left exactly one thing, a container of dried oregano, because I remembered Maddie complaining that she hated the smell. But the masterpiece was what I left on the kitchen counter. I printed Connor's screenshot of her Tinder profile, put it in a nice frame I had bought for one of our anniversary photos, and placed it right where she would see it when she walked in. As a finishing touch, I included a printed copy of all the evidence Connor had sent me. I was about to leave when Trevor showed up with his truck to help me move the last of my stuff. He looked at the framed Tinder profile and started laughing. "Dude, that is ice cold." "She wanted to play games," I said. "Now she can have a trophy." I spent the night at Trevor's place, and we decided to grab beers and wait for the fireworks. Around 11 p.m., my phone started blowing up. First it was Maddie calling from the apartment. then text messages ranging from confused to angry to desperate. I didn't answer any of them. But then, around midnight, something unexpected happened. Scarlett, Maddie's sister, called me. I was so surprised I actually picked up. Jake, what the hell is going on? Maddie is calling me crying, saying you left her. But I am confused because I thought you guys broke up months ago. That is when I realized Maddie's web of lies was about to collapse in ways I hadn't even planned for. Her own family was about to discover she had been lying to everyone, including them. But what Scarlett told me next completely changed everything I thought I knew about Madison's trips home. And it wasn't anything I could have prepared for. Update 1, sorry for the delay updating. Had to deal with some car trouble yesterday, and Trevor's been helping me move my stuff into a storage unit. Still cannot believe this is my life right now. The conversation with Scarlett opened up a whole can of worms I wasn't expecting. So Scarlett calls me around midnight Sunday, confused as hell. She is like, Jake, I need to understand what is happening because Maddie told us you guys split up back in March. But now she is saying, you just abandoned her. I told Scarlett everything. About Connor's messages, the Tinder profile, the fake grandparent visits. There was this long silence on the phone before she said, Jake, our grandparents died 2 years ago. My stomach just dropped. 2 years. I had been sending sympathy cards and care packages for elderly people who were already dead. Maddie had been using their memory to cover for her weekend trips to see another man. Scarlett was pissed, like really pissed. That manipulative little bitch, she said. Do you know she told me Brandon was just a friend from her old job who was helping her through our breakup? I have been encouraging her to lean on him for support, because I thought she was heartbroken over losing you. Plot twist. Scarlett had unknowingly been helping cover for Maddie's affair by encouraging their relationship. But here is where it gets really twisted. Scarlett told me that back in March, right when Maddie supposedly told everyone we broke up, their mom had been asking about wedding plans. Maddie told her parents that Jake wasn't ready for that level of commitment, and that she was giving him space to figure out what he wanted. Meanwhile, I was back in Chicago looking at engagement rings and planning proposal ideas. Scarlett said she had always thought it was weird that Maddie never seemed that broken up about our breakup, but figured everyone handles things differently. Now she was realizing her sister had been playing puppet master with everyone's emotions. I need to call our parents, Scarlett said. They have been feeling sorry for Maddie and sending her money to help with the transition to single life. Our dad even offered to co-sign a lease for her new apartment because he thought she was struggling financially after the breakup. Jesus, Maddie had been crowdfunding her double life. Monday morning, I got a text from Scarlett, family meeting tonight. You need to be there. She sent me an address, her parents' house back in Minnesota. We are doing this in person, all of us. I called in sick to work and drove the 4 hours to Minneapolis. The whole way there, I kept thinking about all the times Maddie had come back from these trips with stories about her grandparents. She would tell me about conversations with her grandma about old family recipes, or how her grandpa was teaching her to play cribbage. I had been sending Christmas presents to dead people. When I got to the Thompson house, it was like walking into an intervention. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson were sitting at their dining room table with this stack of papers, bank statements, text message screenshots, even printed emails. Scarlett had apparently spent the whole day gathering evidence. Mrs. Thompson looked like she had been crying. Jake, we owe you such an apology. We had no idea Madison was lying to you about us. Mr. Thompson was more direct. What our daughter did is unforgivable. We raised her better than this. They showed me bank records of money they had been sending Maddie to help her get back on her feet. Over $3,000 in the past 4 months. Money that was supposed to help her transition to single life, but she had been using it to fund dates with Brandon, while still living off my income in Chicago. Scarlett had also called Brandon, who apparently had no idea about me either. Brandon thought Maddie was recently single and still healing from a bad long-term relationship. He had been trying to be patient and supportive while Maddie figured things out. So let me get this straight, Mr. Thompson said. Madison has been lying to you about visiting us, lying to us about breaking up with you, and lying to this other boy about being available. She has been taking money from us under false pretenses while you have been supporting her actual living expenses. When he put it like that, it sounded even worse than I had realized. Mrs. Thompson wiped her eyes and said, We need to talk to Madison together. All of us. She needs to face what she has done. That is when Scarlett had an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. Mom, didn't you say Madison mentioned something about wanting to plan a family reunion for next weekend? My stomach dropped. I remembered now, Maddie had casually mentioned a few weeks ago that her family was thinking about having a big get-together soon. Something about bringing everyone together after all the recent changes in the family. I thought she meant because of her grandparents' supposed health issues. What if we don't cancel it? Scarlett continued. What if we let Madison show up expecting a normal family gathering, and instead she gets to explain to everyone, all at once, why she has been lying to literally everyone in her life? Mr. Thompson got this look on his face. A reckoning. I should have said no. I should have walked away and let them handle their family drama privately. But I kept thinking about those photos on her Tinder profile. My photos from our anniversary trip, cropped to erase me from my own memories. She told me I had never found anyone better than her. I said, maybe it is time everyone meets the real Madison. But what none of us knew was that Madison had already heard about our meeting, and she was planning something that would make this family confrontation look like a kid's game. Update 2: my phone screen cracked after I dropped it yesterday. Just got it fixed this morning. You guys will not believe what happened at that party. So we are all planning this intervention disguised as an engagement party, right? Well, apparently, Maddie caught wind that something was up. Scarlett found out later that one of their cousins had mentioned seeing me in town Monday night, and Maddie put 2 and 2 together. Instead of coming clean or trying to fix things, she decided to double down in the most spectacular way possible. Friday afternoon, the day before the party, Maddie calls her mom. She is crying, saying she has something important to tell everyone, and could they please make sure the whole family is there Saturday because she has news that will change everything. Mrs. Thompson texts me, I think she is going to try to turn this around somehow. Be prepared. Saturday arrives and I am nervous as hell. Trevor drove up from Chicago to be my backup, and honestly I was glad to have him there. We get to the Thompson house and there is like 30 people there. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, family friends. Even some people from Chicago that Maddie had apparently invited herself. The plan was simple. Let Maddie make whatever speech she wanted, then calmly present the evidence of her lies. Scarlett had prepared a whole presentation on her laptop with screenshots, bank records, the works. But Maddie came prepared for war. She shows up an hour late, and I swear she had been practicing her performance. Comes in with red eyes like she had been crying, wearing this black dress like she was going to a funeral. Everyone stops talking. I am so glad everyone is here. She announces to the room because I need to tell you all something important about Jake. My heart starts racing. This isn't how we planned it. Maddie looks right at me and says, Jake has been emotionally abusing me for months. He has been controlling, possessive, and when I finally got the courage to leave him, he has been stalking me and harassing my family. The room goes dead silent. I can feel everyone staring at me. Trevor steps closer, and I can see Mr. Thompson's jaw clenching. He has been calling my friends, trying to turn people against me, she continues. He even tracked me down to this house and has been manipulating you all with lies because he cannot accept that I left him. Some of the older relatives start looking at me with suspicion. Maddie's playing the victim card, and she is doing it well. But then Scarlett stands up. Madison, that is interesting, because before you continue, I think we should show everyone something. Scarlett opens her laptop and connects it to the television. The first thing that appears on screen is a bank statement showing the $3,000 their parents sent Maddie to help her after her breakup. This is money Mom and Dad sent you to help you get back on your feet after Jake. Scarlett says loudly enough for everyone to hear, except Jake never knew you two had broken up. Maddie's face goes white. Scarlett, what are you doing? The next slide is Connor's screenshot of Maddie's Tinder profile. The whole room can see it now. Her using my photos, the could be you caption where she cropped out my face. Uncle Richard, who I would met a few times at family barbecues, speaks up. Madison, is this real? But Scarlett isn't done. She has got text messages, Snapchat screenshots, even photos Connor took of Maddie and Brandon around town. The evidence is overwhelming. Oh, and Madison, Scarlett says, Brandon's here too. I invited him because I thought he should know the truth. I turn around and there is Brandon by the front door, looking confused and hurt. He is this tall, athletic guy who looks like he probably played football in high school. He has been watching this whole presentation. The room erupts. Everyone's talking at once. Maddie's trying to explain, but her story keeps changing. First, she says the Tinder profile was fake. Then she admits it is real but claims it was just for validation. She tries to say I knew about Brandon, then changes it to saying we were on a break. But the worst part for her was when Mr. Thompson stood up. Madison Elizabeth Thompson, he says in this voice. I had never heard from him before. You took money from your mother and me under false pretenses. You lied to this young man for 7 years. You lied to that boy over there. You have embarrassed our family in front of everyone we care about. And you used your dead grandparents as cover for your lies. That last line hit the room like a bomb. The older relatives start asking what he means about the grandparents. And the whole story comes out. Maddie had been telling me for 2 years that she was visiting living grandparents, when really she had been using their memory to cover weekend trips to see another man. Great Aunt Dorothy, who is like 80 and doesn't usually speak up at family things, looks at Maddie and says, "That is the most disgusting thing I have ever heard." Maddie tries one last desperate play. She turns to me and says, "Jake, please. You know I love you. This has all been a misunderstanding. We can work through this." I look at this woman I had planned to propose to, who had spent 2 years lying to my face about the most basic facts of her life, who had just tried to destroy my reputation in front of her entire family. "Madison," I say, 3 days ago you told me I had never find anyone better than you. You are probably right. I will never find anyone better at lying, manipulation, and fraud. So congratulations. You win that contest. The room is quiet for a second, then Uncle Richard starts slow clapping. A few other people join in. Maddie grabs her purse and heads for the door, but she stops and turns around. This isn't over. "Jake, you will regret this." That is when Brandon speaks up for the first time. "Actually, Madison, I think we are both done with your games." Maddie left, and I honestly thought that was the end of it. The family spent another hour apologizing to me, Brandon, and basically everyone who had been lied to. Mrs. Thompson cried. Mr. Thompson shook my hand and said I had always be welcome in their home. I drove back to Chicago Sunday morning feeling like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Trevor said it was the most epic breakup he had ever witnessed. But Monday morning I got a call from Derek, my lawyer friend, and what he told me made me realize Maddie's threat about this not being over was more serious than I thought. Final update: been dealing with a legal mess all week. Finally have time to close this out. So Derek calls me Monday morning, and he has got this urgent tone. "Jake, you need to get down here right now. Madison filed a restraining order against you." I drive to his office, and he shows me the paperwork. She is claiming I have been stalking her, harassing her family, and that she fears for her safety. She has painted the whole engagement party confrontation as me orchestrating some kind of elaborate harassment campaign. The good news, Derek says, is that this is obviously bullshit, and we have evidence to prove it. The bad news is that until we can get in front of a judge, you technically cannot contact her or anyone in her immediate family. Great. So now I am legally banned from talking to the people who actually support me in this situation. But here is where having a lawyer friend pays off. Derek had been recording our conversations since Sunday when I first called him about protecting myself legally. He would also advise me to document everything. So I had timestamps, screenshots, even video of me packing my stuff from the apartment. More importantly, we had Scarlett and her parents willing to testify that I hadn't stalked or harassed anyone, that they had invited me to their house and asked me to be part of the confrontation. Derek files a counter motion and requests an emergency hearing. We get in front of a judge Wednesday morning. Madison shows up with some lawyer she had hired, trying to play the victim again. She has got this whole story about how I had manipulated her family against her and orchestrated a public humiliation campaign. But when Derek presents our evidence, the recordings, the documentation, testimony from the Thompson family, it becomes pretty clear what really happened. The judge looks at Madison's lawyer and says, "Counselor, Your client appears to have filed this restraining order in retaliation for being exposed for fraudulent behavior. This is an abuse of the court system. Case dismissed. And the judge adds that any further frivolous legal action could result in sanctions. Walking out of that courthouse, Derek turns to me and says, "She is going to leave you alone now." The legal threat didn't work. Her family's cut her off financially, and she has burned bridges with pretty much everyone. She has got no more moves. He was right. I haven't heard from Madison since the hearing. Scarlett texts me occasionally to update me on family stuff. Apparently Madison moved to a different state, and they haven't talked to her in over a month. The weird part is how normal my life feels now. I moved into a decent one-bedroom apartment closer to work. Trevor and I started a weekly poker game with some guys from the office. I have been getting back into rock climbing, which I had stopped doing because Madison said it was too dangerous for someone planning a future. Work's been good too. I got assigned to a major project that is keeping me busy, and honestly, it is nice to focus on something productive instead of trying to decode someone else's lies. Few people have asked if I am dating yet. The answer's no, and I am not in a hurry. It has been 3 months since everything went down, and I am still processing how someone can lie that extensively for that long. Derek says that is normal. That trust takes time to rebuild, even trust in your own judgment. Sometimes I think about those 7 years and wonder how much of it was real. But then I remember that my feelings were real even if hers weren't. I really did love who I thought she was. And I am not going to let her lies poison the memory of the person I was back then. The engagement ring I had been planning to buy. I took that money and bought a new Ford F-150 instead. Seems like a better investment. Connor still sends me updates from back home, occasionally. Madison apparently tried to get back together with Brandon, but Brandon told her to get lost. Last he heard, Madison was working some retail job and living with roommates she found on Craigslist. It is weird. I don't feel vindictive about it anymore. I don't hope bad things happen to her, but I also don't feel sorry for her. She made her choices, and now she gets to live with the consequences. The Thompson family invited me to Thanksgiving, which was nice of them but felt too weird. I might take them up on Christmas though. They are good people who got caught up in their daughter's mess, and I don't blame them for that. My mom keeps asking when I am going to bring someone home for holidays. When I meet someone worth bringing home, I tell her, I am not in a hurry to settle anymore. And honestly, that is the truth. I spent 7 years building a life with someone who was only half there. This time around, I want someone who is all in from day one, or I would rather be alone. Life's good. Different than I planned, but good. That is really all there is to tell. Thanks to everyone who followed this crazy story. Hope none of you ever have to deal with anything like this. But if you do, document everything and trust your gut. Some situations don't have clean endings or big life lessons. Sometimes someone just shows you who they really are, and you have to decide what to do with that information. I chose to walk away, and 3 months later, I am glad I did.